This is Hemant.
And Jessica.
And you're listening to the Friendly Atheist Podcast. Please go to patreon.com/Friendly Atheist Podcast to support this show and get your ad-free and bonus episodes. And let me give a shout out to some of our recent supporters. They include PokeMod97, Jana Lynn E, Norm, Queen Merlin.
Is that all one word?
Yes, and I hope I'm saying it right. CC Lady, Amy BTG, Blad V, Aaron B, Brianna P. Thank you so much for your support and making me say all your names.
I appreciate you.
And a reminder that this Saturday, if you are in the Naperville, Aurora area, or you can make it there, we are celebrating our 600th episode, which is this one.
This episode.
And we're
600.
celebrating Jess's birthday, and we're celebrating Jess's anniversary. All of this is happening at what time?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock local time at Solemn Oath Brewery, and all the details you need are in the show notes. We hope you can make it if you are able and willing to. Bring your family, bring your pets. It should be a fun time of mingling with other fans of the show / people who tolerate us mildly.
In real life, it's going to be a wild mix of people.
So congrats on 600. That would be this one. And thank you all for listening.
We have never missed a week.
We have not.
Which is something that we both take a lot of pride in. And also, I'm very tired.
There you go. So I figured, since nothing else is happening in the news this week, I figured we would start by talking about the first millennial saint that just got canonized. How much do you know about sainthood?
What do I know about sainthood? Actually, I think I know a little bit. I think you have to have 3 miracles credited to you to be considered a saint, and they can be posthumous, but end of my knowledge.
All right, there you go. So over the weekend, Pope Leo XIV, he oversaw a ceremony where he declared that Carlo Acutis, who was a 15-year-old boy who died of leukemia in 2006.
And he was like a blogger or something like that. He's very online.
This guy was very online. The Pope said he is now a saint. It's taken about 20 years to make that happen, given when he died, but he is a saint now. And listen, as much as I do not like little children who get praised for things they don't deserve.
It's his kryptonite.
It is. I wanted to point out how Carlo, and I'm going to call him Carlo because trying to say Acutis is going to drive me crazy.
Okay.
How Carlo was made a saint, because if you're not familiar with the actual thought process, it's kind of wild, especially if you're not Catholic and you're not familiar with what does it take to become a saint?
It does feel somewhat arbitrary.
Yeah. And so let me tell you a little bit.
Kick off the process.
Yeah. Let me tell you a little bit about Carlo. When he was younger, 8, ish. That's when he starts developing a personality and I have interests.
Sure.
Okay, fine. What is your
kids
interest?
Will want to do.
Yes. What is it that this kid likes to do? He's like, I like computers and video games and stuff like that. Right. Fine. Totally normal. So he makes a website, and because his family is like a good Catholic family, he makes a website that is still online where he's like, I will make a list of all the saints that have ever existed. And okay, fine. Good for you. You go to the site and it lists the various people who have been beatified.
I too love to plug things into spreadsheets. I do not blame him even the tiniest bit.
There you go. So it's okay. You made a site promoting the Catholic Church. Is it a fancy website? No, it doesn't have to be.
Well, 2006. We didn't have fancy websites.
He was a kid. He basically listed miracles that have happened by country with links to what looks to be an encyclopedia for kids, where they're here is Saint Blank, and here is what that saint did.
That's cute.
It's okay, you found some book, you scanned the pages or got the scan somewhere, you linked it to that. Okay. I mean, did it convert anybody? I'm not sure that would do the trick, but whatever. I see what you did. Good for you. I wish this boy had the chance to grow up and actually design stuff, because clearly he was interested in making websites. Fine.
He was doing this before his diagnosis?
I don't know when he was diagnosed, but I think he was 8 years old when they said he started expressing an interest in computers and programming and coding and things like that. So anyway, that's kind of what he did, where his family's like, look at our little Catholic son here. Look at what a good boy he is. So he was also known as God's influencer. That was a nickname he got because he made this website.
Ooh, I hate that a lot. Also, influencer in 2006? No. That's a retrofitted thing. Nobody called him that.
Yeah. So he died, and here's the thing about sainthood. You said 3 miracles. Yeah. It's actually 2. But yeah, there needs to be proof that
Somebody
you
needs
made...
to tell the Catholic Church about the rule of 3s, my friend.
There needs to be proof that you played a role in 2 separate miracles. And if you think that's weird, because I just said there needs to be proof of a miracle, yeah, they do contradict each other, because the whole point of miracle is there is no proof for it. You're taking it on faith. But let me tell you what the 2 miracles were, because I will tell you in all the stories I heard about this guy, the details about the miracles were not really part of the story. It was just like, look, he's the first millennial saint.
Yeah.
Okay, miracle number 1.
Oh, God.
There's a 4-year-old boy whose name is Matthias. Matthias. He was born with a deformed pancreas. Okay. It was painful. He couldn't keep any food down. And he was constantly vomiting. And normally you would say, well, he needs a pancreas transplant if that's a thing that they can do. But he was too weak to do it. So that wasn't really an option. So his death appeared imminent. In 2013, Carlo's mother, this is separate, but I'll tie these stories together in a second. In 2013, Carlo's mother, after he had died, she gave a Brazilian priest a piece of her late son's clothing, as one does, and the priest began putting it in his chapel, in his church every year, telling parishioners, hey, if you're struggling with anything, pray for Carlo to intercede in your life if you need any healing. And the cloth was there in case, I don't know, you need motivation.
Oh, is it like a Pokemon t-shirt? Or like, what are we looking at here?
Yes, maybe. So word of this got back to Matthias's family.
Oh, God.
And they decided to visit that church. Matthias, the little boy, he kissed the cloth and he's like, please, I'm paraphrasing, please, God, make me stop vomiting. Hey, ghost of Carlo, like, help me stop vomiting.
Spirit is what they'd say.
As the story goes, as they began to head home, Matthias is like, I'm all better now. And then he's like, Mommy, give me fries and beans and steak and other like solid food that his brothers really liked. And that's far cry.
And beans and steak.
Yeah, far cry from his own liquid-only diet because he can't handle anything else. And guess what? He ate everything without a problem. According to the mother's story, it was the first time in his entire life that this happened. He had been vomiting after eating since he was born. He even rejected breast milk. Since that day, I knew he was cured because of Carlo. The change was too drastic and too sudden. And then the boy began to gain weight. And when he got back to medical appointments to check up on his pancreas, the change in the shape of his pancreas was apparently confirmed by an ultrasound.
The change in his shape of his...
Because his pancreas was deformed, which is why I wasn't working. And they're like, well, we're looking at it now and it looks fine.
Oh, that's good for him.
Interesting. So here's the question. Is that a miracle? Or was that a misdiagnosis to begin with? Because that is possible. And the truth is...
Spontaneous remission.
Did something happen? And the truth is the Catholic Church doesn't really care.
No.
Like the boy got better after his spiritual interaction with Carlo, which is a form of logic so fallacious, it actually has its own name. And it was eventually declared a miracle after a very long process. And I want to read this to you because of how insane they're like, how do we verify that this is a miracle that was attributed to Carlo? And let me read this. Reports of the supposed miracle were sent to the dicastery for the causes of saints, which is like the church's internal division for, hey, corporate, look into the sainthood of this.
Wouldn't you watch a sitcom about that job?
Right. The dicastery handed them on to its medical board, a commission of professional doctors.
Professional doctors, you say?
As opposed to, who are paid by the Catholic Church.
Over salt in the stew there.
From there, they were passed on to the dicastery's theologians, you know, because they're the medical experts, who checked that they aligned with Catholic teaching on miracles. Got to make sure the pancreas is not trans. Then they forwarded them to the department's senior bishops and cardinals, who several years after the events occurred told the Pope, yeah, you should say Carlos is blessed because miracle 1, check.
Is blessed.
Yes,
is that a technical term?
That is the technical term.
For a one miracle.
And after you've done your one miracle, you are now beatified. That's the term.
Just after the one you're beatified.
After the one you're beatified. You're not a saint, but you're on the path.
Oh.
You're in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
But you haven't been called up yet.
Gotta get up to single A.
Mm-hmm. So that was part 1. And there are questions about this kid's diagnosis. By the way, the kid is alive.
Oh,
He's
good.
Well. But like, how do you go back and like, can we check your pancreas from back in the day? I mean, if you're fine now, that's great.
I mean, where is this all taking place?
I think Brazil is where the church was when they went to go pray at the church.
Okay, so I presume, they have medical records. It's not like they could probably confirm that. And did they?
Maybe. But like, even if the medical records, I mean, it's not like they're publishing the records for people to dissect.
Sure.
But even if you could see the medical records, it's like, okay, well, is it possible that when you took an ultrasound, maybe that's not the best method to use to dissect if the pancreas is happening? I will tell you, one of my own kids had a problem keeping solid food down.
I remember that.
And it's like, what the doctor said is, look, you can get surgery right now, but also you can just wait if you're willing to for another few months, and it's going to take care of itself.
Yeah.
And it's a tough question for a parent, which is, well, do I want surgery or do I want to watch this kid suffer for another while?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It wasn't a pancreas thing, which is the case in this kid's situation. But again, I don't know how much I can trust the Catholic Church's own self-diagnosis of what happened to this kid.
Yeah, they're not.
And their verification checklist. It's not like you're getting peer review. It's not like you're getting outside support. So take that as you will.
Yeah, and the Catholic Church doesn't have a long history of being correct about almost anything.
Right. So the second miracle occurred in 2022. A woman named Valeria, she was in Florence, Italy. She was attending college there. She was riding her bike. I don't know if she was wearing a helmet or not, but she fell off the bike. She suffered intense head trauma, and it did not look good. And a week later, her mother, Liliana, she went to Carlo's tomb, which is in Assisi. And that apparently was the same day her daughter began to heal. Her daughter started breathing on her own, no respirators involved, moving her body, started slowly regaining her speech. And it's like, is that a coincidence? Or was that because as soon as mommy asked Carlo, hey, help my daughter, she started getting better. And then I guess a CAT scan proved that the hemorrhage that this woman had disappeared. Good. And several weeks later, she moved to rehab therapy and made quick progress. And like a month after that, both of them, mother and daughter, made another pilgrimage to Carlo's tomb to thank him for his intercession. So again, was that the natural progression of her injury, or was it something inexplicable? Like, what role did Carlo actually play in her healing? The answer is none.
Right. Because he was dead.
Because he was dead.
Yeah.
But they're like, well, that counts. So is it possible there were medical errors or doctors assumed the worst to play it safe when they may not have had to? Is it possible these people would have healed on their own without any prayer? Of course. But the Catholic Church never acknowledges that. They just say, no. Instead of going with, we don't really know what happened, they're going with the declaration, this only happened because of Carlo, and there's no chance they're ever going to admit, we don't know exactly what happened. We are grateful these people are better now.
Yeah.
So there's no acknowledging that doctors, I don't know what medical interventions these people already had while they were in the hospital, what medicine they were getting. We don't know any of that. There's no role for that in their recoveries, and there's obviously no actual evidence Carlo directly impacted their health, much less that he's just sitting around performing miracles in his spare time, wherever he is. But it is more satisfying for the Vatican to portray him as divine. So now that they have that, they're like, hey, miracle number 2, he's called up to the major leagues.
Yeah.
That is why Carlo is now a saint. Oh, and by the way, I forget to mention, his family's really rich. And apparently, to do all of the shit you need to do to have your miracles verified by the Vatican as real, legit miracles, there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of people involved. And like
who funds that?
Who funds all that?
Wow.
And the answer is this family. And his mother, Carlo's mother, very openly is like, yeah, I paid so that my son would become a saint.
Oh my God, this is like the Hollywood Walk of Fame all over again.
Yes, here's what she said. Normally, the cause for a saint, the people behind it have to ask people to fundraise. But in my situation, I do have the means to pay, so that is what I have done. And she said, and like another person who works for a Catholic agency said, like, if the Pope wants it to happen, it will. But there are thousands of candidates for sainthood being considered. So a Pope's interest will move someone to the top of the pile. This is very much like applying to an Ivy League school.
Yeah.
If you have a rich parent who's like, I got a donation for you, or someone involved at the high end of the school is like, yeah, we want that kid to come here. It's like they can make it happen.
Yeah.
And this is not merit-based.
Yes. It's like, I'm going to have my first meeting in John Blumke Hall.
Right.
What a nice coincidence that is for my candidacy.
And again, this is not to denigrate Carlo's life, because again, he had a short life and he did what he wanted to do, what he could do. And I wish he had a chance to explore that more. Yeah. But like there was a lobbying effort to make this kid a saint, enough money for the Vatican to like put its people on the case.
Yeah.
And it paid off. And it's also good for marketing, because the whole thing with the Catholic Church is shit. We're losing all of our young people. How can we get young people involved? Why don't we get a handsome young 15-year-old boy whose face is now the meme in the Catholic Church, with people like having their buttons and their handbags with his face on it, like some people did with like Luigi Mangione.
Yeah.
Like they're putting his face everywhere. And there was a reporter named John Phipps who wrote an article earlier this year about the short life of Carlo, and he spoke to some of his childhood friends. One of his friends, according to the reporter, quote, told me that in life he had not known Carlos to behave like a very pious boy. Whoa. In fact, he hadn't even known Carlo was religious. And what about the website? Like, Mary's making all these miracles?
Yeah.
When Carlo told his friend he was making a website cataloging miracles, the friend saw it more as an expression of his friend's passion for computer programming than anything else. Like, oh, you need to make a website. You need
fun to plug
some
stuff
interesting
into things.
stuff. All right, fine. Like, again, none of that takes away from Carlo's life at all. He seems to have been a likable young boy with a promising future.
Yeah.
Same interests as other boys his age. And it is tragic what happened to him. I don't like that the Catholic Church is like, we need to make something of this boy. So let's pretend he's supernatural instead of just appreciating the life he lived.
Yeah, it really does kind of reek of somebody has not really processed their kid's death very well.
I need him to be more special than he really was.
And it's sort of externalizing her grief.
So they made him the subject?
I'm empathetic, but maybe the Catholic Church shouldn't be in the business of whatever this is.
Yeah.
It's just...
He deserves better than to be the subject of a PR campaign with incense.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much all this is at this point.
Yeah, that's...
So anyway, that's how he became a saint. This is the guy they're pushing is like, look, the Catholic Church has a new millennial saint. Hey, kids, you want to join the Catholic Church? Look at what we got.
You guys like Pokemon? You like Power Rangers?
Yeah.
How about this saint?
Yeah. All right, I'm moving on to a different story.
Okay.
Do you remember Donald Trump announced the formation of a Justice Department task force?
Oh, the anti-Christian
bias task force, which we have talked about before. They said, we're going to eliminate anti-Christian bias in the federal government. And the rest of us are like, what Christian bias? It's not a thing.
Oh, slip of the tongue. Anti-Christian bias.
Well, where is the Christian?
What Christian bias?
Sorry,
everywhere,
yes.
Forever.
Is it you only have 98% of elected Republicans are Christian? Is that the bias you are speaking of? I don't know. And also, if you're saying Christians have it bad because of all this bias, who do you want to trade places with? Who has it better than you do at this point? I don't know.
I feel like they've gotten into their heads that, like, if you just, like, utter the words I'm trans, you suddenly like your bank account
biased.
fills up, your housing is free, everybody respects and likes you.
Yes.
That's what they think is happening while they're actively shitting on trans people.
These are the very people who are like, we need to eradicate DEI because you know who the real victims of racism are?
White people.
White people. So yeah.
We've had it too bad for too long, haven't?
So they had their first meeting in April. And right away, when we talked about it, it's like, oh, we kind of know where this is going. Because who's present at the meeting? You have Pastor Paula White-Cain. You had a homeschooling guy, a Christian advocate, Michael Ferris, who founded his own private Christian college.
Yeah.
You had the head of Liberty University, the guy after Jerry Falwell Jr.
Cool.
And if those are the people you're bringing in to discuss anti-Christian bias, it's like, oh, I see what you're doing here.
When's the last time any of these people have met a non-Christian person?
They try very hard to stay in their own bubbles.
It's just so funny to me that they're like, oh, everybody's so mean to us. I say to everybody who looks exactly like me.
I genuinely,
and who is also in power.
I seriously thought their example of anti-Christian bias was going to be someone in the federal government said Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas.
Ooh.
And like, oh no, how dare you? We're never going to let that happen.
This year they
again.
bring back the war on Christmas. That used to be my favorite annual tradition.
When the culture wars were like cute.
Yeah. It was like Jon Stewart versus Bill O'Reilly. Those are the days.
So the Anti-Christian Bias Task Force just released its preliminary report.
Oh, thank God.
Now, I will say, it's dated June 6th, but it just came out now 3 months later.
September 11th today.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know why you waited to issue this, but they didn't release it publicly until now.
Yeah.
So I was reading through it, and it's like, okay, give me your examples. How bad does it get? And it very much looks like, hey, all the cabinet departments, I need you to find examples where Christians are treated badly, send in your report, and basically give us your top line, like, here's the one or two things that happen in our department
your abstract
that we are fixing. And then they issued a preamble on top of it where they basically say there's a consistent and systematic pattern of discrimination against Christians during the Biden administration.
Oh, during the Biden administration.
Yeah.
I think they were busy fighting COVID.
There's a lot of stuff they were doing.
Okay.
But discriminating against Christians was not one of them.
Well, you don't know that. I haven't read the report yet.
Oh, but if you go through the report, here's one of the things you learn. So many of the examples are things we have personally discussed before.
Really?
Because they're just not Christian bias. It's just Christians demanding special rights that other people don't have. Let me highlight a few.
Oh, this is going to be like a greatest hits episode for us.
They very much... You could tell they're lying right from the beginning, but okay, here's one.
Their mouth moved.
Here's one example. The Department of Housing and Urban Development, when they submitted their 1 or 2 page paper to add to this report, they were like, there was one of the main top line items on their list, the targeted removal of holiday posts. Here's what they said.
Jesus
During the 2023
Christ.
Easter season, a public affairs officer was instructed to take down posts on an official HUD Office X account relating to Palm Sunday, Good Friday, and Easter because they potentially violated the Establishment Clause, ... However, similar posts in celebration of Pride Month, Ramadan, and Diwali, among others, received no scrutiny. So they said the Christian posts were taken down, but the other celebratory posts were not.
Can you retell that story so it doesn't sound like they're just whining?
No. So here's the thing. They did not include screenshots in the article.
Well, who needs evidence?
So they're like, these posts were taken down. Oh, can you show me what was taken down? No.
Because the internet has no memory.
No. And I looked for them. I couldn't find which ones were taken down.
Well, you don't have the full fucking force of the American government behind you.
So it's hard for me to explain why would a Easter post, because honestly, if they just said Happy Easter to everybody the same way they do Happy Ramadan, I don't know why that would have been taken down. And I can't tell you, there honestly was nothing offensive about that. I can't tell you that without looking at it.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this. I looked at their Happy Pride from HUD, and it's on a rainbow background. It's fine. I get why that's not taken down, because there's nothing wrong with that. It's pretty generic.
Yeah.
And says absolutely nothing of value. It's a Happy Pride. Fine.
Truly the most tepid endorsement.
Yeah. So here's my question. When they did the Palm Sunday, and Good Friday and Easter posts. I wonder if the posts had Bible verses.
Bible verses is what.
Did they say like,
Hallelujah, he is risen.
Yeah. Did they say religious things that did cross a line and promote Christianity, while the other ones, like Happy Pride, were all very generic? Like, that's my question, because that's very much a thing they could have done.
Well, and yeah, if you want to show us wrongdoing, then fucking show it to us.
Yeah, show it to us. By the way, here's something they did not include in their report, but which I found.
Ooh.
During the Biden administration, Housing and Urban Development, they made a post online that celebrated Christmas. And it says, Merry Christmas from HUD. And it says in the actual writing of the post, there's no place like home for the holidays. Merry Christmas from the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Fine.
Which is
great,
fine.
Darling.
And it's boring and it's tepid.
There's no place like home for holidays is very good for the Housing and Urban Development. I don't need them to be more clever than that.
That was posted during the Biden administration. That post was not taken down. And that post, again, that's a Christian holiday. That's not included because, again, they don't want you to know that exists.
Yeah.
They just want you to know the Easter one was taken down. How dare they? Oh, show it to us. Show us why it was taken down. No, we can't do that. So, again, that's not anti-Christian bias.
Also,
that might have been someone getting a little overzealous with posts on Christian holidays and crossing a line with Bible verses and getting asked to take them down. And that might be it.
And also, if we're going to talk about bias among HUD, like the first Trump administration put Ben Carson in charge of HUD because he's black and they heard urban. And they're like, oh,
By the way, he did the exact same thing in the second Trump administration.
Did he? Wait, who is it? I don't care.
The first black guy he could find.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, he keeps killing the other ones he had.
So
oh boy,
that's the deal. Sorry, he killed Herman Cain.
Herman Cain.
Ben Carson's still around.
Good for him.
Yes. So anyway, that was one department's example of anti-Christian bias.
Wasn't
Ben
there like
Carson?
a TV movie about Ben Carson? He fucking shanked his dad or something?
When I was a kid, I shanked somebody.
I mean,
I know. The good old days when that was a story.
Haven't I just caught myself thinking fondly back on the first Trump administration?
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
I'm going to puke.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Jesus. Department of Education. Oh, you know Linda McMahon, the wrestling lady. Like,
sure.
We got examples of anti-Christian bias.
Let's get ready for bias.
Thank you. One of her examples said the Biden administration appointed a book ban coordinator that investigated school boards that were banning books. Like, basically, the Biden administration said, like, hey, let's appoint someone to, like, just, you're in charge of book bans and figuring out federally, what can we do about these things? Have they crossed a line? Do we need to do anything about it? We don't get any details about what this person did. Why looking into book bans is anti-Christian bias. I don't know. What we know about school district book bans is that conservatives love them.
Yeah, nothing's more Christian than a good old book burning party.
They love banning books that reference LGBTQ people or sex or anything like that, even if it's age appropriate. That's why some activists are like, well, if we're playing this game, let's ban the Bible because you want that in schools, and that has way worse stuff.
Much worse stuff.
So again, how is the book ban coordinator anti-Christian? I have no clue.
That's so funny.
But that's one of her big examples. Wow. They appointed someone to look over the book bans.
Wow.
Here's another thing Linda McMahon said.
How very dare.
Here's another thing the Department of Education said. The Biden administration attempted to impose record-breaking fines on some of our nation's largest Christian universities, including Liberty University and Grand Canyon University. And we have talked about both of them.
Fine establishments. Grand Canyon University, that's the one that they like basically defrauded students by not telling them the real price of anything.
Well done. Yeah. Here's the thing. In both of those cases, they were not penalized because they're Christian. They were penalized for secular reasons.
Right.
They just happened to be Christian schools.
Right.
And we've gone over both schools and what they did, but I'll go over it quickly. In the case of Grand Canyon University, like you said, they lied to certain students about tuition fees in order to bring them into the school. And once you're there and you're taking classes, you can't really leave. And then they're like, by the way, if you really want that PhD, you got to take more classes and give us money.
Imagine having the dedication to get a PhD, but not enough wherewithal to not get it from Grand Canyon University. What a waste of your time.
Yeah, and the government under the Biden administration, they laid out how the school lied about tuition on their website, the enrollment agreement, the calculator they put on their website so students could figure out how much it would cost them. They lied in all of it.
Yeah.
So there wasn't some accident. Like they did it over and over. And now that the Trump administration has taken over, they rescinded that penalty and said, yeah, we're just control Zing everything the last administration did to you.
Yeah, that really, I feel like that's maybe one of the most clear-cut cases of we're going to undo whatever Biden did no matter what.
Even when it was
how could you possibly justify... How could you possibly look at that situation and be like, no problems here?
Right. That was a $37.7 million fine for Grand Canyon University. They just erased it.
Is Grand Canyon technically a Christian college, or is it just a for-profit?
It's very much a Christian college. I don't remember if it's for-profit or not.
Grand Canyon, do you think?
It's like churches that don't have a cross on the top.
Sure.
They just want to lure you in, and the Christian thing is secondary, you guys.
Oh, speaking of which, I finally listened to the 99 PI about Sister Amy, who started the Foursquare churches. Very interesting. Talk about it in bonus.
Yep. And the Liberty University penalty, they were fined $14 million for violating the Clary Act, meaning they created a culture where students were afraid to report sexual violence and did not do enough to let students know about threats on campus. And a consultant who spoke to the Washington Post said it was the single most blistering Clary report I have ever read, ever. Like Larry Nassar at Michigan State, that school was penalized for violating the Clary Act, and that was a $4.5 million fine. This is way worse.
That didn't feel like enough money.
But again, that's the point. Was that anything to do with Liberty being like this Christian school? No. It's very much you're making students way worse off by not helping them and informing them about this stuff. And by the way, why is the government going after Christian schools? Because these schools take advantage of federal student loans from the government. They want to get loans from the government so students can attend their schools.
Right.
And part of that says, okay, but if we give you money, you got to do the bare minimum, like try to keep students safe. And these schools, one of them, Liberty, did not do that. Well, so anyway, is that anti-Christian bias? No, it's just two Christian schools that got punished for hurting their own students.
Right. Well, and as a reminder, the Clary Act was created because a young woman picked a school because she thought it report said it was safe, and
was it?
And
not so much.
She was raped and murdered in her dorm room.
Yeah.
And then later the parents found out that there had been tons of reports of assaults and rapes and things like that the campus just buried. So the Clary Act is meant to honestly, in a very similar way to churches, of like, you can do whatever your internal bullshit is, but like when it comes to the safety of your students, this is a federal problem.
And it applies to all schools.
No matter what.
Federal aid. So, okay, that's the Department of Education. What about the Department of Defense?
The Department of War?
Sorry, thank you, Department of War. They had their own gripe, and the biggest one on their list was the cancellation of pastoral care for service members and veterans. Here's what they said. During Holy Week in 2023, which, by the way, there's only one Holy Week. It's the Christian one. But okay.
What's the Holy Week?
Easter, Lent, all that stuff. During Holy Week in 2023, Walter Reed National Military Medical Center issued a cease and desist letter to a community of Franciscan Catholic priests that had been providing pastoral care to service members and veterans for nearly 2 decades. After canceling its contract with these priests, the center awarded the contract to a secular for-profit entity, leaving inadequate pastoral care for Catholics during Holy Week. That's what they said.
Wow.
That makes it sound...
They are so brave.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it sound like Walter Reed booted out Catholic chaplains from the premises right before the most holy time of the Catholic year, just to screw over Catholic patients.
That does sound like Walter Reed.
That sounds exactly like what the Biden administration would do under Catholic President Joe Biden.
Super long history of that kind of shit under the Democrats.
They did not say this in the report, but I'm like, I don't remember hearing about that. I wonder what actually happened.
Because it wasn't that.
Yeah. So I looked it up. Here's what actually happened. The Franciscan chaplains in question, they belong to a group called the Holy Name College Friary of Silver Spring, Maryland. Okay, fine. That's their formal name. They had a contract with Walter Reed. They had a contract with Walter Reed to pastor, to chaplain, to be chaplains for whoever needs them. They had a contract. It expired on March 31st of 2023, which is right before the Holy Week that year.
Yeah.
Coincidentally. It expired right before
the first quarter.
After the contract expired, I think their thought is, well, it's almost Easter. We should stick around and keep providing our services. And the hospital's like, you guys don't have a contract with us. You can't be here right now because you have no reason to be here right now. Like, they're just going by the book.
Yeah.
So they said, you have to stop. You can't be here right now. And the hospital sent them a cease and desist because you legally cannot be on this campus right now.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the hospital awarded a contract because they didn't want to have a gap in providing services.
Sure.
They awarded a contract to another group to provide chaplain services. And it's a company that serves the military in a bunch of ways. It's not a church group. It's like a secular for-profit group. But one of the many things they do for the military is we provide chaplain services as well. So in addition, despite doing that, despite providing chaplain services, the Archbishop for Military Services basically said it's not good enough because those chaplains from the for-profit group, they don't come from like the Catholic chaplain region of France, right? Like they don't have the check mark from us.
Sure.
So they don't count.
They don't even have the tonsures. Like, how am I supposed to take them seriously?
And so basically these people were saying, yeah, you provided Catholic chaplains, but they're not the right kind.
Yeah.
It doesn't count then. So really, you're not providing anything to the Catholics at the hospital because these are like rando Catholic chaplains, not our like stamped and approved Catholic chaplains. That's what they argued. It was a big thing in right-wing media for like a month.
It sounds to me like the first chaplaincy is losing out on a pretty valuable contract and they're mad about it, which is fine.
And guess what? They had a bidding for a new contract in May of that year, like literally a month and a half later. And the Franciscan group, they won the bidding. And
so now they're back.
Now they're back. So literally the temporary complaint, the cease and desist and everything, it was resolved in a matter of like under 2 months. Months during which Catholic chaplains were still available to anyone who needed them at Walter Reed. And that's what their complaint is. Was that anti-Christian bias? No, that was a contract dispute over a non-issue that was quickly resolved. That's it.
Oh, boy. I mean, this really does stink of like Christian persecution is just not getting special favors.
Yes. Okay, the wildest...
Especially, like, they're not even anti-Christian. It's just not you Christian. Like...
Yeah.
It's not anti-Christian bias, it's contract law.
Yeah. So
and the
wildest allegation that I had not seen on my radar, it came from the Department of Health and Human Services, which basically said the Biden administration persecuted a Catholic hospital. And they specifically, they mentioned the St. Francis Health System in Oklahoma. Okay, get this, because again, I was not aware of this story, but here's what happened. That hospital, it is a Catholic hospital.
Yeah.
It has a chapel inside, as they always do. Fine. In that chapel is like a lit candle in their prayer area, right? They have a lit candle. In 2023, under the Biden administration, as everyone has to deal with, they had an inspector visit the place. It's an inspector for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. They came by to make sure, like, hey, you get money reimbursed for Medicaid, Medicare. Got to make sure you're just doing the stuff.
The rules,
And they said, look, you have an open flame in this chapel.
That's my exact thought.
They said, basically, in their report, you're not allowed to have a lit candle with open flame burning unattended 24/7. And that is exactly what's happening here. They also said you can't have an open flame within 15 feet of oxygen delivery equipment.
Jesus, I forgot about the oxygen delivery stuff.
And it's not that they had equipment right there.
Oh my God.
But patients who have oxygen delivery equipment, they might stop by the chapel. And they're basically saying, look, you either can't leave it unattended, you can't have it on all the time. And right-wing groups,
right-wing groups realistic.
Are like, how dare you attack our faith? The hospital executives said, we're being asked to choose between serving those in need and worshiping God in the chapel. But they go hand in hand. Our work depends on our faith in the living God, and this candle represents that.
Okay, so when you say it represents that, sure, but it isn't that. Because you just said it represents that. You can just transfer. This is how human projection works. You can just go ahead and transfer that to like the pews or like the probably cross up there is probably a better symbol of your faith.
The hospital sued over this. It went to court and the whole issue was settled out of court. And the end result is the hospital got to keep its fire in the chapel.
Thank God.
Which, again, I don't really care about the candle in the chapel, but again, the issue here is a safety hazard, not anything else. But anyway, they cited that as an example of anti-Christian bias. It's not. That's the government saying maybe don't keep a fire hazard lit and unsupervised near patients in a hospital.
This is so deeply scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Like, it truly is so embarrassing.
Yes. Okay, I'm skipping through, by the way. There were a lot of examples. I'm not going through all of them.
Oh, okay.
Department of Justice.
Sounds like you're burying the truth, Hammond.
I know. The Department of Justice said the Biden administration's Department of Justice had a lack of concerted effort to address and prosecute violations of the law when there was anti-Christian bias. And one of their examples was a lawsuit they have now filed against the city of Troy, Idaho. And we've talked about this too. Basically, the issue is the city said when Doug Wilson, who was like basically a cult leader in Idaho, he wanted to expand his church to their city. And they said no to a conditional use permit. And their reasoning was, we have a very small town. We have a very small area of land, like 2 blocks long, that we are trying to develop into a commercial district. So people can come here, shop, spend money. And it's like where we make our money. Yeah. And if we can build this up, maybe our town gets bigger and makes some money too. And the church said, but we want a spot right there. And they said, you can't have that.
Because that's not bringing in any money.
Yeah. And long story short, because we have discussed this before, the town's attorney even said the permit was not denied because they were a particular church, but because of the demand they put on our scarce city resources. Because if you allowed the church to go there, even on like a Sunday morning, you are taking up all the parking spots in our commercial district. People are not spending money in the community, likely. And the Department of Justice filed a lawsuit over this, and it is possible that the city might lose it because they maybe they screwed up the paperwork. Yeah, it's possible. I don't know. But it wasn't anti-Christian bias. It was something else entirely.
No.
Okay. There was one last one I wanted to mention. The FBI, Kash Patel, he issued his report.
Oh, boy.
And he said there was a Biden era memo that asserted that radical traditionalist Catholics were domestic terrorism threats. And we've talked about this one too.
Wow.
And the story here, long story short, is that there was basically FBI agents who were like, there's a guy we're looking at who seems sketchy. And we're not doing anything yet. We're still behind the scenes. We're investigating. But they're like,
we're just gently violating his rights.
Yeah. We're looking at this guy, but we haven't filed anything. But we're concerned. And we have good reason to be concerned. Basically, this guy to them was a potential terror threat. He also hung out at a church. It wasn't a Catholic church. They're not formally affiliated with the Catholic Church. But they're like, we're an offshoot, but we're the true Catholic Church. Which, whatever.
All love to be the true one.
But the thing the FBI agents found is he was recruiting members for a potential attack at that church. And
so he's literally a terrorist.
I mean, that's what they were concerned about. So they were keeping tabs on this guy.
Yeah.
And a couple of FBI analysts wrote up their report for their superiors about like, here's why we're doing this. Here's what's going on.
Yeah.
They noted a link between his extremism and the fact that he belongs to this church, though they pointed out this guy has been on our radar since before he joined this church. But after he joined it, he started talking to people in that church. And the thing they found out, these analysts, is that there are a few other people in our database, in our FBI database, who have similar extremist ideologies and belong to similar churches. And so in their report, they said, hey, there might be a link there worth investigating.
Sure.
But also, higher ups in the FBI said, this report that you all wrote, this rough draft, doesn't adhere to FBI standards.
Oh.
There's some errors in it, which I don't know what the errors are. But like internally, they're like, we can't issue this report in any way, even amongst ourselves, because you're rookies. You made some mistakes along the line. So it was never made public. But before that, before it could get struck down, someone must have gotten access to it, and they leaked it to right-wing media outlets saying, these guys are coming after a Catholic church, and they're saying there's some extremists in that church. So they're linking Catholics with extremism, which is such a distortion of what actually happened there.
Yeah, that's not it.
And again, the FBI did not issue that report. It's like someone leaking a rough draft and you wrote some stupid shit in it.
Yeah.
And they're using that to say, look what they were going to do. It's like they weren't done yet.
Yeah. This feels like, do you remember when they tried to quote Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the Bible as history thing, and they quoted her third grade paper or something like that?
Yep.
I don't know why that.
And she said the 10 Commandments were awesome. And they're like, see
super
what?
Cool. 2 thumbs up.
Yep.
RBG.
She was 12. By the way, the Treasury Department also wrote in their memo that the IRS under Biden, they scrutinized a lot of Christian organizations for their tax exemptions and stuff like that, which the IRS has not done that.
A, they haven't done that, and B, it's their job.
Yeah. So anyway,
what?
This is what the whole report is like. This is what the whole report is like.
Stupid.
It's a bunch of stories of Christian groups, Christian affiliated people who are investigated for good reason. And they just pretended, hey, we're Christian. The law does not apply to us.
Yeah. Here's my...
And by the way, that report, that draft, the version 1.0 of this...
The FBI one?
No,
or
the Task Force Anti-Christian Bias report was first given... They shared it with Fox first.
Good.
Because they wanted a headline, right?
Well, they wanted journalistic integrity, and you go to Fox News.
And the headline on Fox is DOJ Task Force finds, quote, numerous instances of anti-Christian government bias under Biden.
Here's my question.
So they got the headline they wanted.
What now?
Yeah, what now? The answer, I sincerely believe, is they're like, we got the headline we wanted. All right, scrap the anti-Christian bias task force. We are done. We have done our job, which is to Trump
annoy
wanted
the
us
shit
to
out
do
of Jessica
this.
Personally.
Yeah, they got their report out there.
Yeah.
Nothing happens now because they got the headline they wanted. They gave their right-wing extremists fuel to use because they could say, yeah, hey, look, not only did the Biden administration go after Christians, they have now investigated it. And we now know there is anti-Christian bias because there was a task force and a report on paper.
I don't know why the quote sound and fury signifying nothing is bouncing around my head, but boy, these people are loud, huh?
Yeah. To state the obvious, I have no problem investigating anti-Christian bias. It should not be ignored, nor should bias against other groups.
But it doesn't really exist. How can you be anti the majority of people who are in control? That's just being cool.
Do you remember when you watched God's Not Dead, as we all have?
I watched it in Memphis, Tennessee.
At the end of God's Not Dead, they say, of course, I'm paraphrasing, but they're like, the story you just saw with Kevin Sorbo and all that.
Based on a on a dream I had.
That's obviously all fiction, but you know what's not fiction?
Yeah.
The following are a list of cases, legal cases where they have gone after Christians who are speaking their minds. And there's a long list of Supreme Court cases and other cases that are about anti-Christian bias. And if you go through the actual cases, it's just like this, where every case is bullshit.
Somebody's
when
being
you
shady.
Look into it.
Yeah.
But this is what they do. They say this because they know people are not going to read this report.
No, God, no.
I have issues, which is why I'm doing it.
Most people who believe in it can't read, frankly.
So, this is it. They have something to point to when they want to make stuff up about how the government is anti-Christian. They got it. So I think now the task force just disbands. There's nothing else for them to do because there never was anything for them to do.
Huh. Wow.
There you go.
Wow. What a phenomenal waste of time and resources.
Completely.
Just completely down the toilet.
Yeah. All right. I have a different story for you, which is one we have not talked about. And this may be the story that I went down the biggest rabbit hole for over the past week and a half.
Wow.
Like the task force one, I'm like, oh, we've already talked about a lot of that. Yeah. To the point where I had to talk to several people. I'm like, is this thing really happening the way I think it's happening? Okay, here's the story. Because I don't follow Canadian politics, obviously, as much as I do American politics, but the government of Quebec, all right, they are about to introduce a bill that would ban prayer in public. Like public displays of prayer. Which sounds like
draconian.
Yeah. It's like, that sounds like something I should want, and I'm very much not in favor of this.
No, this feels like a law that a 16-year-old edgelord wrote.
Yeah, this is like the fever dream of Reddit atheism, but they're actually considering this bill. And if you followed Quebec politics for a while, they have been going down this route for a while. And by the way, they're using Islamophobia to convince citizens this is a good idea.
That was my guess, they're trying to get rid of Islamic prayer, because that often happens in public.
The idea that public displays of religion might be outlawed, it has united a lot of religious groups who are saying no, along with civil rights groups and church-state separation groups who are like, no. Who are like, this is actual religious oppression. We do not support this.
Unenforceable law, too.
And also, Canadian federal law has a thing that's like, it's a human right you're violating here.
Yeah, those Mounties are going to come galloping in.
Okay, so here's the backstory of what they're doing in Quebec. They have been pushing mandatory public secularism for a long while now.
Wow.
Yeah. So in 2019, famously, they passed something called Bill 21, which said Quebec is a secular state. We're a secular place here. And therefore, what are we doing? If you work for the government in a government job, you cannot wear religious symbols on your person.
Yikes.
So if you're a cop, if you're a lawyer for the government, if you're a teacher,
I guess
you cannot wear religious stuff. Now, if you're a Christian and you're
this
like, oh, I
feels
can't.
Very icky.
Yeah, if you wear a cross necklace like Carolyn Levitt or something, whatever, you can just tuck that away, and that might
Who's
feel.
Carolyn Levitt?
Oh, she's the liar who's the spokesperson for Trump.
Oh, fun.
So she lies all the time.
Oh, that's neat.
But it's one thing to say hide your cross necklace, which might be seen as anti-Christian or something like that. But imagine if you're a Muslim who wears a hijab.
Yeah, is my burqa illegal?
Yes. What happens if you're a Jewish person who wears a yarmulke? What if you're a Sikh person? Lots of Sikhs in Canada with the turban.
And what about a beard?
You can't wear your turban.
Is a beard a religious expression?
A beard is not religious expression, even if it's by your religion. But if it's clearly a religious thing, you can't do it. And everyone who is criticizing...
This is thought police. This is fucking nuts.
And people were like, you're very much just targeting minority religions. Because you're not really worried about Jews wearing yarmulkes because there's not that many of them.
Yeah, I don't think Quebec has a massive
population. But there are more Muslims, and you definitely don't want them around.
What about every other person I see in the world who has a cross tattoo on their body?
They were saying, well, look, we're applying this law equally. If it's a tattoo, I guess that's one thing. But if it's a visible on your person thing, you can't wear it. I don't know. But
are they going to have, truly, I worked at the ranch I worked at. We had a no tattoos policy for a little bit. And so this gal who had a bunch of tattoos had to vet wrap.
Cover it up.
Yeah, vet wrap around her thing. Go. And is that what they're going to make the mayor do if he has a cross tattoo? What?
So, here's the thing. A majority of Canadians oppose this law.
Yeah, dog.
But in 2019, a poll after this law passed found that a majority, 64% of people who live in Quebec support the law. Yeah.
What it's just Islamophobia, isn't it?
Pretty
Is it
much.
just racism?
Yes.
Interesting.
Now, the supporters of it, I think they're like, we are not dealing with this radical Islamic anything in our area. But we're not targeting Muslims here. We're targeting all religion. We live in a secular place. Thank you very much. That is their defense of this. That is their reasonable, they say, defense. They're like, we are not Islamophobic. Fuck? Okay. So more recently, now, 5 years down the line, 6 years down the line, Quebec's government is like, I'm going to come back to this in a second. Let me back up.
Oh, okay.
Last year in Montreal, some groups, there's a lot of people very upset about Bill 21. Yes?
Yeah, it's a very bad bill.
Separate from Bill 21.
Okay.
Last year in Montreal, a group of Muslims, they requested and received a permit from the city of Montreal to have morning prayers to mark one of their holidays. And the city said, yeah, if you want to meet in this public spot and you need permit to meet there or something, yeah, okay, fine. The mayor said, well, Christians are allowed to hold a public event in a local park. And quote, if we allow an outdoor mass for one religion, we must also allow it for another religion, which is a sensible thing to say. But even that mayor was like, it's not something we want to see more of.
We're not encouraging this behavior.
It's really very limited.
It's technically legal.
So people were not happy about that. But here's
about which part of it?
About allowing Muslims to have a public prayer that they got a permit for.
Boy, you're shattering a lot of illusions about Canada that I had.
A part of Canada. So here's what it's really about, though.
Okay.
Over the past several months, there have been protests in a very public part of Montreal protesting the Israeli government's genocide in Gaza. And a lot of people are showing up for these protests every single week. And it happens to, because it's such a public spot in the city of Montreal, it also happens to be the site of Notre Dame, I'm going to say it wrong, Notre Dame Basilica, which is a big Catholic church in the city of Montreal.
Oh, okay.
So people are saying, you have a bunch of people protesting. You have a lot of Muslims who are protesting, and they are protesting outside this Catholic church.
So it looks like they're protesting the Catholic Church.
So it looks like an attack.
And they don't like
against Catholics.
They just don't like the optics.
And they don't like the optics, and they definitely don't like that they are protesting genocide because they see it as anti-Semitic. And the group organizing it, by the way, is called Montreal 4, Montreal for Palestine. And again, this is not a religious protest. This is a protest that happens to include a lot of religious people, and Muslims have included Muslim prayers as part of this protest every week. Okay, by the way, counter-protesters have also been on the scene since the summer. It's kind of a dangerous situation where you're like, I hope all of you stay nonviolent because this could explode, but so far, no way. By the way, a spokesperson for the church has also already said, people are like, so what do you all think of these gatherings outside? Do you see the Muslims?
Yeah.
And the spokesperson for the church said, it's a quote, legitimate exercise of freedom of expression in an emblematic public space of Montreal. Okay, so is that free expression or is it a religious threat?
I also don't know whatever the equivalent of the First Amendment is in Canada. I don't know how free speech is protected versus here. So,
I mean, in general, I don't know the answer. I'm speaking off the cuff here, but in general, you are allowed to practice your faith pretty peacefully. That is in the Canadian Charter of Human Rights or something.
Sure. And
I apologize to Canadians for getting that wrong.
And Canadians never violated the Charter of Human Rights with Native American schools.
Never.
Ever.
So here's the thing.
No mass graves.
Now that there are these public displays of religion during these protests, and Muslims are at the center of that. By the way, I saw a viral video, or it went viral, but it showed the Muslims praying, and it showed the church bells ringing really loud. And people were saying the church is ringing these bells to override the prayers.
Or is it 4
o'clock? And the church said, yeah, they're pre-programmed. It had nothing to do with it. And again, I told you, the church has basically said, we're fine with what they're doing. Okay.
Oh my God.
So after all this has been happening.
I'm sorry, played the bells extra loud. I don't think that's possible. I feel like those things are always on full tilt.
So all this has been happening and it's been building up for months and months. So recently, Quebec's government, they commissioned a report on how are we doing on secularism in our province. And basically they said this report is supposed to document the phenomenon of infiltration of religious influences. And we would like recommendations on how can we strengthen Bill 21.
I'm sorry. Are they just doing the opposite of what we're doing down here? They're literally investigating, is there anti-secular bias while we're is there anti-Christian bias? And guess what? No to anybody.
And they tasked the lawyers in charge of writing this report, give us recommendations on what we should do to strengthen our secularism. And Bill 21 that says, no Muslims allowed to teach if you're wearing a hijab.
Yeah, can you just tell me if I can just snatch somebody's yarmulke off their head?
So the report finally came out a couple of weeks ago. only in French, which is annoying because I wanted to read it. And now I have to translate it. Yes, there you go.
Thank you.
That's racist.
Yeah.
So some of the recommendations, I will say, there were like 50 recommendations. Some of them make sense. One example of it, they said, right now there's a rule that says parents have to be told in advance, hey, your kids are about to learn sex education in schools. They said, don't do that. That stigmatizes sex education. You don't give them hey, your kid's about to learn algebra.
Yeah.
Why are you telling them in advance they're going to learn sex ed?
And sex ed is going to be much more useful than algebra in their life.
Right? Others go in the opposite direction. They say, the ban on hijabs and yarmulkes and all turbans and all that, we should extend that to childhood centers and subsidized daycares.
Yeah.
So they're like, you can't wear a hijab if you're working in a government-funded daycare.
Perfect. Yeah. No notes.
Right.
This is really chill.
But specifically, because they were asked, look into what we should do about public prayer at these protests. And the lawyers who wrote this, here's what they said about that. We believe, I'm paraphrasing, because again, it was in French. They basically said...
You're triple paraphrasing.
Yeah, they basically said, when it comes to public prayers, let local municipalities figure out how they want to handle this. But even then, they said there's a lot of caveats.
It's a states' right issue.
Pretty much. There are a lot of caveats here. One social specialist, a social scientist, told us that in his opinion, a strong vision of secularism is legitimate and desirable for Quebec. However, he considers that such a vision is not incompatible with demonstrations by religious groups.
Yeah, I think that's a fair...
Yeah, totally sensible take. Like religious demonstrations and rallies and even public prayers.
Yeah. Well,
that doesn't go against public secularism. That's a part of it.
When there was that preacher on Michigan Avenue or State Street who used to be, you remember him? Who used to be in front of the Old Navy?
Dime a dozen, they're all the same.
Oh my God. No. He was very well known. He had a little speaker and he would just kind of yell at people as they walked by. Anyway, that was an endorsement by the city of Chicago of his particular religion.
We have freedom of speech. Now,
yell at people smoking and call them sinners.
If your complaint is someone's a public nuisance or they're too loud, guess what? There are laws.
There's laws
there
in
are
place.
local ordinances
We did
that
this already.
say, you can't be this loud.
Yeah.
You can't harass other people, even if you say it's a part of your religion. There are already rules against that stuff. But if a group of Muslims wants to have a prayer in a public space and they got a permit to do it, why is that bothering anybody, right? So that's the concern.
Because racism.
The report also pointed out, if you pass a bill in Quebec saying public prayer is banned, there are going to be a lot of complications. For example, and they pointed this out in my Google Translate version of the report, would yoga be banned?
Yeah.
What about groups that consider watching the sunrise a spiritual event? What about people who want open air weddings on public spaces, but they have religious rituals as part of their wedding? What about St. Patrick's Day parade? Is that a religious thing all of a sudden? It is Catholic.
Oh, boy.
What about the spiritual practices of indigenous people that are meant to happen outdoors, like pipe smoking and powwows?
Oh, I don't think Canada has a history of caring about that.
They said, what about meditation? Right?
I'm just imagining somebody sitting in a park and it's like, is he meditating? Is he not? I can't tell. Ah!
Literally, I wanted to point this out. I think this is later. Someone on Reddit made a joke, but I thought it was a very good point. How long am I allowed to close my eyes in public before I've committed a crime?
Yeah. Truly somebody standing quietly and praying, or in a one time when I was waiting tables at Max and Irma's, I dropped off somebody's food and I walked away and I came back. I was like, how's everything going? And they were all quietly praying as I was like, hey guys, what's up? What's happening?
There you go.
It was very uncomfortable and illegal, I'm learning now.
And the report pointed out also, who the hell is going to enforce this? Who's walking around to the people meditating and is like, what exactly are you doing?
What's happening in your head?
All very good questions. And that section of the report concluded, here's their formal recommendation, number 36. It says, municipalities must incorporate in their secularism policies a framework for collective religious events within their territory in accordance with their regulations.
Oh.
In other words, secularism is important, but it's up to all of you locally to figure out how you want to implement all this shit. Because this is going to create issues. So your town knows what you need better than any government official.
This is an insanely not thought out situation.
So, I will say their recommendation for what to do was kind of moderate, where they're like, we should not have a law overseeing all of this. Locally, if you want to create ordinances, figure out the best balance. Okay, I don't love it, but it's something.
I don't
okay,
like
fine.
any of this.
So what was the reaction after this report came out?
Horror?
The government officials were like, well, now that we have the report, let us talk about what to do. There is a man named Jean-Francois Roberge.
Oh.
He is the minister responsible for laicity, which is the French version of enforcer of secularity. Yeah, that's a government position that I totally mispronounced.
That's, oh my God. It's like the new Witchfinder General.
He said in a tweet in response to the report, now the government needs to go even further to eradicate religion from public spaces. I will read to you what he actually said.
I don't like the word eradicate.
Here's what he said. The proliferation of street prayers is a serious and sensitive issue in Quebec. Last December, our government expressed its discomfort with this increasingly prevalent phenomenon, particularly in Montreal. The Premier of Quebec has given me the mandate to strengthen secularism, and I am firmly committed to fulfilling this mandate diligently. Thanks to the reflections conducted in caucus and the committee's report, our deliberations on several aspects of secularism are well advanced. This fall, we will therefore table a bill, which in Canada means introduce the bill, to strengthen, as opposed to America where it means kill it.
Yeah.
We will therefore table a bill to strengthen secularism in Quebec, including by prohibiting street prayers.
So I associate street prayers with Christianity.
They just mean public prayers by anybody.
So not the guy with the PA system outside the Old Navy on State
That would
Street.
be included,
but not.
but also we're going after Muslims.
What
is what he's getting at. By the way, if you think think that's overly harsh,
I do.
Roberge has the full support of the leader of Quebec, Francois Legault, who called out Muslims specifically in defense of this position. This is what he said in December.
Oh, God.
Seeing people praying in the streets, in public parks, is not something we want in Quebec. And he wanted to send a very clear message to Islamists.
He said the quiet part out loud.
He said, when we want to pray, we go to a church, we go to a mosque, but not in public places. And yes, we will look at the means where we can act legally or otherwise.
This reeks of we don't want to see gay people smooch in public.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. It's such a weird message.
Keep it in the bedroom. I'm sorry, I'm holding hands with my husband. What do you need?
He's very much conflating peaceful Muslims with Islamists. Which suggests we want to impose Sharia law on all of you.
Yeah, and also feels like a made-up dog whistle.
Yes. Prayer to him should only exist within the walls of a religious space. And when you enter the public realm, that one aspect of your identity better be concealed. Especially if you are on that Peter Griffin meme and you're lower on the list.
It's basically on skin color.
As many Christians would tell you, our faith is not confined to the walls of a church. The idea that a government's going to punish anybody who's peacefully or even quietly praying in a public space is ludicrous. One columnist who I read said to ban public prayer is like using a bazooka to kill a fly.
It
and
truly
this person added, public prayers genuinely meant to raise awareness about the deaths of thousands of innocent civilians, including far too many children, should not be treated as an existential menace to Quebec's secularism. Yeah, of course it shouldn't. But that's what the defenders of this bill are saying. There's another conservative commentator who's very influential among Legault and his allies, who's very blunt about why we need this law. And he very much used great replacement theory. So listen to this. We are talking about a conquering Islam. That is to say, an Islam shaped by Islamism and carried by waves of migration, transforming the demographic composition of our societies.
I'm so sorry, but is a white person complaining that brown people are taking over their land? Because I do think I remember pre-white people, there was a group of people that were systematically eliminated, that wasn't a problem because it was the white people doing this.
I won't tell you what we discussed at our brown people meeting. He also said, He also said, why not also remember that while Quebec is a secular society and must push this secularism further, notably by banning ostentatious religious symbols in schools, it is also...
Is that a problem?
Yes. It is also a historically Catholic society. Those who have a problem with this should ask themselves why they want to live there. A street prayer in front of a church or in the middle of a city center is about turning the freedom of religion offered by liberal democracy against itself. It is a symbolic aggression.
These people have lost the plot.
Hear me out.
No.
Protests that include prayer can just be a personal display of faith that does not affect you. When I saw headlines about this story, my first thought is, oh, they want to get rid of annoying street preachers or unwanted proselytizers who are invading everyone else's personal space to try to convert them. Maybe they're going after like over-the-top public nuisances. That's seriously not what they are doing. They are trying to do the kind of religious oppression that Christian nationalists in the U.S. dream about.
It really is. It's
They wish they were this persecuted.
Okay, so does this mean that when Americans complain about being too secular, we can boot them up to Quebec?
Pretty much.
Like, I don't know, Catholics, if you guys want... Wait, so he's saying that this place is secular, but it's also Catholic.
Historically Catholic, just like the United States is a Christian nation.
Historically, and I do love when we say historically, because historically tends to only be the last like 300 years. Because I do think that if you tick back to, I don't know, maybe before the 13th century, you're not gonna find a lot of Catholicism in Canada. In the New World.
It has been interesting to watch a lot of groups.
Although maybe Vikings landed there pretty early, did they?
A lot of religious and church-state separation groups are now speaking out loudly. The head of the National Council of Canadian Muslims said this proposed ban is concerning.
Yeah.
Quote, the idea that somehow...
understating.
The idea that somehow prayer in the street is a new thing or a dangerous thing is absurd. The Canadian Civil Liberties Union said banning prayer in public spaces would infringe on freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of peaceful assembly, and freedom of association. Quote, public spaces belong to everyone, regardless of their religious beliefs. There was a group called the Canadian Muslim Forum that said a blanket ban would stigmatize communities, fuel exclusion, and undermine Quebec's social cohesion.
Well, somebody knows what they're talking about.
And there was a Jewish rabbi who said a ban on public prayer would be a real loss, and certain Jewish traditions require a body of water in nature, especially during the high holidays. So, like, how are they supposed to celebrate their religious rituals if they need to be near a public body of water?
So this is one of the most insane laws I've ever heard.
So there's another, I thought this was well said too. This is from another journalist and a former lawmaker who is a columnist. Public displays of religion, basically, are not real problems. And this is nothing more than a new way to stoke fear of Muslims among voters who probably don't know any better. This is what the columnist said, Andre Prat. Let us be clear here. It is not prayers in public spaces that are disturbing. Catholics have been praying in public for decades, and no one has ever protested, even though Quebecers have largely thrown religion in the trash. No, what is disturbing is Muslims who pray in the same way that the ban on religious signs, symbols, was really aimed only at the Muslim headscarf. In Quebec, practicing Muslims cause discomfort. They worry. They disturb. In a population that is not familiar with these practices and that has rejected religion, this discomfort is understandable, but that is no reason to violate people's fundamental rights. And this person said, and all this to solve what problem? If there are prayer demonstrations that disrupt public order or traffic, the police forces already have all the powers to intervene. There's no need for a new legislative arsenal that will make a religious practice disappear from public space simply because many Quebecers are instinctively hostile to it. Yeah, so this feels in many ways like a bizarro version of what is happening in the U.S.
It really does.
Right? Christian
and it's
nationalists,
just as upsetting.
Yeah, Christian nationalists have taken over our government and made it their mission to eradicate the persecution of Christians, which is not a real thing.
No.
And one way they've done it is by spreading lies about Muslims, which has led to a Muslim ban in immigration and calls for Muslims to be banned from holding office, which is what some Republican lawmakers have said, and all kinds of smears against people like Zoran Mamdani and Ilhan Omar. Right? Like in Quebec, these officials are using the goal of a secular government to push the same baseless attacks on the same religious minority for the completely different reason.
Boy, white people are fucking fragile, aren't we?
Yeah, so
we really don't like even seeing somebody who doesn't look like us. It's very off-putting.
One of the people I talked to about this story was the head of the British Columbia Humanist Association, which I know is not Quebec, but they have fought a lot of church-state battles across the country.
Okay.
And the executive director of that group is Ian Bushfield. And this is what he told me. We are obviously troubled by these moves. Further, we worry that these threats to individual rights and freedoms may overshadow the important recommendations in the report that would help dismantle the privileges that institutional religion continues to enjoy in Quebec and across Canada. Our quest for a more secular society should target those with power, governments, and institutions rather than the individual believer just trying to live their life.
Wow.
Okay. By the way, this is something, here's the other element of this that is worth considering. Like, why are they doing this?
Racism.
The ruling party that is currently in charge of the government, they have elections next year. And right now, that ruling party is underwater in the polls.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they conservative?
They're,
like what? I guess I don't know.
I mean, apparently they're super secular. But they are conservative in nature. Again, this is we don't know Canadian politics as well as American politics.
Gang, this is horseshoe theory come to life.
Yeah, but basically, they're underwater in the polls. And so what do you do if things don't look good for you right now and you have a little bit of time before the elections? You got to rally your base. Yeah. And what can you do to rally your base? Point to brown people and say, that's who you need to fear. Support us and we'll protect you from the brown people.
Yeah.
Here's what one article said. This is the same columnist, Andre Pratt. Roberge's announcement that we're going to table this bill comes at a time when Legault's party, CAQ is the abbreviation for his party, it's in French, has dropped to third place in the polls a year away from the next provincial election.
Sure.
For months now, that party has been looking for an issue that would help them rise from the dead. They may have found it by this new attack on Quebecers' fundamental rights. So give it time, and Legault's going to probably say Muslims are eating your pets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, I also spoke to one other atheist who is in support of this law.
No.
This is Michel Virard, who is the president of the Association Humaniste du Québec. Okay. He told me he saw the protests outside that church as a relentless, subtle war of provocations. And this is why he supports the proposed prayer ban. I will just read to you what he's told me.
Okay.
We are now facing systematic provocations by Muslim activists, some of whom will deliberately call for violent actions against Jewish persons and properties. Letting them literally occupy the public sidewalks for their own religious proselytism is not something we are going to accept. So, calls for violence against Jewish people should be condemned. Obviously.
Cool.
The proposed law...
Didn't follow the first hurdle.
The proposed law would apply to everyone who prays in public, not just people using their faith to justify extremism. Like, it very much feels like deliberate overkill. And I did ask him... I did ask him, like, well, what about peaceful Muslims who are praying? Like, I mean, screw the people who are saying, I don't like people, even in the midst of what's happening in Israel, Gaza. The Israeli people... A lot of them do not support what their government's doing. Criticize the government for what it's doing. I asked him that, like, what's the difference? Why this law to punish everybody who's Muslim? Like, if you want to go after people using religion to make threats against other religious people, we'd be having a different conversation. I did not get a follow-up response from him. Needless to say...
there's absolutely no way to justify
I don't agree with his take at all.
A deeply, like, intellectually dishonest take.
Yeah. Interesting.
They're occupying your sidewalk. Like, Jesus Christ, dog.
Interestingly enough, the British Columbia Humanist Association, and this guy's group, that Bill 21 that I mentioned earlier, it will be heard by the Canadian Supreme Court soon. Like, they didn't set a date on this.
Okay.
But the Supreme Court's going to rule on the constitutionality of that bill that forbids people from wearing religious headgear in public jobs.
Do you have any sense as to, like, I don't know anything about the Canadian Supreme Court.
I don't know what they're going to rule, but Ian pointed out to me our two groups, these atheists, we're on different sides of that issue, which is interesting, which is to say the atheists are not on the same page on this one.
No.
And what's happening in Quebec,
we're
though,
not.
I don't see this as secularism. It's like a distortion and a perversion
Absolutely not secular.
of secularism. Because when we talk about church-state separation, it means everyone is protected under the law and no single belief system gets promoted by the government and dominates the public square because the government says so. It also does not mean, contrary to what Christian nationalists say, that faith has to be driven out of it. Like, that's very much a part of what all the church-state separation groups in the U.S. have been saying. Like, there's a difference between shoving the 10 Commandments in public schools, which we shouldn't do, and saying, let's get rid of prayer in public schools, which is not something anyone has ever said. Difference between kids can pray in school, teachers can pray on their own time, versus let's say it over the loudspeaker and force everyone to hear it. Right? So if this bill moves forward, it's not a victory for secularism. It's a betrayal of secularism.
This is 100% Islamophobia and racism wrapped up in the guise of secularism, and it's bullshit. And I am frankly offended that, like, atheists are like, yeah, it's cool. Like, no, fuck you guys. You know, honestly, he knows better. Whoever is saying this is a good idea, he fucking knows better. And he's okay with letting brown people take the fall for...
I would like to hear, I'm very curious for people who are listening who do live in Quebec or have a better knowledge of what's happening here. Tell me why you think this is justified, because I read through, again, I went through the rabbit hole on this for the past week and a half. I am so curious, like, how do you justify this in the name of church-state separation when you are preventing someone from exercising their religion by the nature of, like, well, I'm working at a daycare, but I wear a hijab. Like, I don't know how that's the same thing as shoving Islam in a student's face, which I would have a problem with. It's not.
They're not doing that. And anybody who is doing that is in violation of a law that already exists, that you cannot proselytize to your 3-year-old preschoolers or whatever. Like, there should have been guardrails in place, and this is a massive, massive overstep of anything that could be considered fair expression.
Yeah.
Fucking assholes.
Would you like to go to a different story?
I guess.
Let's do it.
Are white people the villain again?
Yes.
God damn it.
There are two Christian parents.
We can't get it together.
Their names are Blair and Taylor Edwards. And what happened a couple years ago, 2023, Taylor gave birth to the couple's, I think, third child at the time. Child's name was Hayden. And everything was fine. She did a home birth. It was fine until about 2 days later, when Hayden stopped eating, his lips turned blue, and hours later he stopped breathing. I think she poured cold water on him, and he started breathing again, but like 30 minutes later, he was dead.
Oh, jeez.
Tragedy. Awful situation. 2 days.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh,
now,
God.
here's the thing. Obviously, at no point in the 5 hours of when things started looking real bad.
Did they call a doctor?
Never did they call a doctor, but they did invite their family and friends over to pray for the baby and anoint the baby with oil.
Oh, God.
And that's because this couple and their friends and family, they belong to a group called the Followers of Christ Church in Oregon, whose members are told prayers fix everything and medical interventions for children are not necessary. This particular church, not people like this, this particular church has killed off so many babies this way. What? Literally, over the past 3 decades, how many kids have died like this in their church?
5.
21.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
That's Sandy Hook level.
Yeah. Since in 2011, and the reason they were able to do this is because in Oregon and Idaho, I believe, there is like a faith-based exception to homicide. Like if you kill your kid because your religion...
got rid of those laws. I thought we were donezo with them.
In Oregon, they didn't get rid of it until 2011. In Oregon, in 2011, they finally removed faith healing as like a legal defense.
I feel like I remember that happening.
Yeah. But since 2011, 3 other couples from the same church have been prosecuted for killing their own kids. This couple is number 4 since the law has passed.
So
fourth kid to die since the law has passed, but 21st from this church in the past 3 decades.
I have a question, and you might not be able to answer it.
They are white.
Yeah. I mean, only white people have the privilege of killing their children. But is there any chance, if this is a home birth, is there any kind of chance that the number is quite much higher because we don't know
some kid was born somewhere?
Exactly. If they're not going to a hospital, if they're not going to the doctor, there's going to be no public record.
What ends up happening is when these kids die and they're like, our prayers are not working for some reason.
This must have been a bad one.
They do call like the doctors or the coroners or whoever, because like now you got a dead body in your house. Like they find out.
Oh.
So I don't know what's been hidden.
Jesus.
Like,
I mean,
did they bury it in the backyard? I don't know.
A small thing to get rid of. You're not talking about like a whole adult corpse.
You go down that true crime rabbit hole and we will find out. But anyway.
I'm gonna.
So this couple, after people figured out what they had done, they were prosecuted because they did kill their baby, and faith healing is no longer a defense for that.
What's the name of the church so I can go down the rabbit hole?
Followers of Christ Church in Oregon. So anyway, they were sentenced finally in the past week or so. They got sentenced to 30 days in jail.
For murdering their baby?
Correct.
I thought, I'm sorry, I thought Christians thought that babies were the most important thing, and every time a miscarriage or an abortion happens, that it's a true tragedy and the potential of God's love in every little soul and every twinkle in their eyes. But 30 days?
30 days. So why did they get such a light sentence? Here's some of the reasons they got a light sentence. Yeah. One expert testified that, look, based on everything I've investigated about this story, this baby probably would have died even with medical intervention.
That doesn't feel like a good defense.
But the baby died from what they presumed was jaundice, which is treatable.
Jaundice? Well, and also there's signs of jaundice if your baby is fucking orange.
Yeah, I mean, the medical examiner said she could not say with medical and scientific certainty that medical intervention would have saved the boy. But the lawyer, the prosecutor, did say even though the statistics suggest that there was a very high probability that by taking Hayden to the doctor, he could have survived, the prosecutor said we can't prove that the baby died just because they failed to call a doctor to get medical help.
They could do is negligent homicide?
Something like that. Yeah. So basically, the Edwards pleaded guilty to first-degree criminal mistreatment, which is a felony charge that could have gotten them 5 years each. Now, why did the judge lower the jail sentence?
Probably because if they get a 6, they'll get a punch card.
There you go. The part of the deal that they got with the judge is that, yes, we're going to jail for 30 days. We will then be on probation for 5 years and monitored to make sure our other children, because they had 2 older ones before Hayden was born, and they've had one since. And
they've already had another baby? Listen, I do not believe in government, sterilization, but I don't know. I feel like these 2 might be good candidates.
So they said, you're going to monitor us for 5 years to make sure all of our kids are getting regular medical care. That's one thing.
Oh, so they have to bring their kids to doctors now?
Yep. And if a couple... the probation terms require the couple to sign a release for the kids' medical documents to be seen by the probation officer or a Department of Human Services official, and allow the probation officer and DHS to speak with the kid's physician. So basically, they'll be monitored for the next 5 years while the kids are kids to make sure they are seeing a doctor and the doctors are saying, yeah, they came to me. I'm looking.
The DHS is disbanded.
The rule said if the couple has another kid or adopts a baby, they have 72 hours to notify the probation officer and take the baby to an accredited physician.
I hope they don't adopt a baby, Hammett.
Yeah. Now that's a start. Fuck. All of that's a start. Also, I wondered about this, but like, as much as I want them to have a harsher punishment and a longer jail sentence, I wonder if the judge felt it would be more problematic to take that parents away from their children, including the one who was born recently, even though we're talking about these parents. The couple also issued a public statement admitting we screwed up here, and this is part of their plea deal too.
Wait.
The Edwards, under the terms of their agreement, the Edwards prepared a statement that Blair Edwards, the dad, read out loud in court. In it, he said he and his wife should have reached out for medical care when Hayden went into distress. Okay. He acknowledged the value of medical care. We do understand that medical intervention can be necessary to preserve and enhance life. We accept the need to have our children have the necessary medical care for their well-being and health.
Wow, what a fucking hot take. We accept that medicine helps you live.
Yeah, he also said he said the couple cannot mandate that their fellow church members seek medical care. They don't have that power. But he said he and his wife, quote, ask the members of our church to take our loss as motivation and ask you to reach out for medical intervention and care for the physical well-being of your children. So he's saying that one to the church.
I don't know about all this, Hammett. This feels terrible. Like,
is there a good way out of it, though, at this point?
There's absolutely no good way because a baby is dead.
Yeah.
And that is nothing that can be undone.
I would take that public statement to his church a little more seriously, though, if I hadn't done the investigation here. But check it out. I said 3 couples since 2011 have already done this.
Why is this the turning point?
Yeah. In 2018, there was a couple. They were the Mitchells. They were sentenced to 6 years in prison because their newborn daughter was born premature, suffered from a syndrome. She could have survived with medical intervention.
Oh.
Like everyone kind of agreed on that.
Sure.
She didn't get it. Parents chose to pray. She died. Well, after they were sentenced, guess what they said? They said in a statement read aloud by one of their lawyers that everyone in the church should always seek adequate medical care for our children.
Oh, so this isn't the first time they've played this.
So like everyone at this church is like, hey, church, you guys don't do what we did. We made a mistake. And the entire church is like, sure, got it. Anyway, what's up? It's like, what's the point of statements like these when it's very clear the members of the church don't take it seriously and the church's leaders don't make the church members take it seriously? Like the Edwards rejected medical care for their baby years after that statement was delivered. That means the church still is not telling members to take sick babies to the doctor, despite families urging them to do so as they're being sent off to jail. Right? So I don't know why you include that as part of any plea deal. I mean, this is the predictable outcome of a toxic religious ideology that sacrifices children because of their dogma.
I'm trying to find a chart of infant mortality rates and for like across the years. And basically it looks like before
vaccines.
No, before the Industrial Revolution, it was like fucking 50%. Then like kids did not.
You know, as these people would call it, the good old days.
There's like the reason people have had huge families in the past is because you were counting that some of them were going to die. Like this was a reality of life and it was impossible. It was heartbreaking.
The Duggars make sense on paper in the 1600s, but no longer.
Well, in the 1600s, not all of them would have survived until adulthood.
That's the point.
I
think until this church decides that children are more precious than their ignorance, more kids are going to die. Because these parents are going to keep praying for miracles that don't come.
This shit makes me so angry because it feels exactly like, and I think I talked about this last week, of these Christian men are all like, oh, we got to protect women and women are blah, blah, blah. And like, every time somebody is revealed to be like a predator, they're like, oh, well, he was a good one. Oh, well, not him. Blah, blah, blah. Like they're constantly tilting at windmills instead of actually addressing any kind of problems. And this feels like the exact fucking same. Like, oh, we love, whoa, babies are so important. Children are their future. God's precious children. If one or two of them dies here and there, no biggie. Like, how am I supposed to believe anything any of these people say when they're just constantly lying to me and themselves?
Yes.
Themselves.
Correct.
Grammar is cool.
I got one last story for you.
Is it going to be a bummer?
We'll see.
Your energy change.
We talked about this a while back, but it's been a while. So
It's been a while.
Lawrence Krauss, the scientist, he wrote a book called The War on Science. Do you remember what this book was about?
Oh, it's probably against, it's basically what...
We did talk about it.
How come
Pop
everyone's
quiz.
mad at me? How come everyone's mad at me? Just because I don't think trans people are real.
Right.
Did I get it?
Yep. So he announced earlier this year when we talked about it, he was going to publish this book called The War on Science, and it was a compilation of essays from people like Richard Dawkins, Jerry Coyne, Peter Boghossian, Steven Pinker.
Ooh, any women or non-white people in there?
A few.
Oh, yeah? A lot?
A few. And also Jordan Peterson. Got to get him in there.
Jesus fucking Christ, Lawrence. What the fuck are you doing?
All the smarties.
Jordan Peterson. Man, fucking toxic masculinity makes for some strange bedfellows.
If you want to write a book called The War on Science right now, honestly, good for you, because there is one happening right now.
Yeah.
You could think about what you could talk about. Anti-vaxxers taking over the government.
Climate science.
Universities are losing research funding, which all of these dudes, a lot of them, have or do work at universities.
Oh, but you don't understand. They're doing good science. Other people are doing bad science.
When they released the table of contents, which is really all that was released several months ago, you could see, what is the groupings? What are they going to talk about in this book? They were going after how liberals and progressive have undermined science by promoting DEI, claim trans people are, humans.
Wait, how does DEI... Okay, this is such a specious connection. Yes. How does fucking DEI undermine science?
Well, we are giving scholarships to people who don't deserve it. You're not being raised on merit.
I hate these people.
Them.
These people are such dicks.
This is an entire book whining about wokeness. And by the way, it was published by a conservative outlet that also published a book by the officer who's like, we didn't shoot Breonna Taylor. Don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
So we talked about
do you think that cop who shot his partner in the back is going to end up in the next round?
So
because
we talked about this maybe 6 months ago, because that's when he announced this book and we got the table of contents. And the thing about it is most of the essays in this book, because they laid out the titles of the essays, it's like, they're all available online because all these people have already written these for their own websites or right-wing media outlets. Well, so you could see exactly what they were going to say in this book.
Also, somewhat's going to undermine his sales, I would think.
Doesn't matter. It's a compilation, so he's like, don't worry, there's a few originals in here, whatever. Gotcha. That part I didn't have a problem with, because you could put together a book of your essays and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But the Federalist Papers, for example. When I criticized the book months and months ago, one of the things these dudes criticized is they're attacking our book. They haven't even read it yet. It's like, dude, all these essays are online.
Gang.
I can read what you posted online.
Honestly, truly.
That's one thing.
Oh, fuck.
Since that time, since we last discussed it, the book has now come out. So let me read a couple of...
Did you get a copy to review?
I 100% did not have a need to do that because the essays are all online.
Yeah.
But there's two things I want to point out here. Two people have already written reviews. One is from Sarah Jones, who writes for New York Magazine. And she said, there are nearly 40 chapters in The War on Science, all pockmarked by omissions, misrepresentations, and sometimes obvious lies. Each section of the anthology addresses a different facet of the woke threat to reason, but a few common obsessions emerge. Genitals and what people do with them.
Yeah.
Israel, DEI, and various professional insults. It's all here, boomer Facebook on every page. And Sarah adds, the writers are too caught up in their resentment to acknowledge reality. They do not grasp their own role in the global rise of the illiberal right. They want to debate as long as they dictate the terms. There was another person, Dr. Jonathan Howard, who wrote a very good essay for the website Science-Based Medicine. He said, the book, quote, was written as if the past 8 years never happened, and it should be titled Renowned Scientists and Scholars Who Were in a Coma.
I'm not sure what you mean about the last, like the COVID of it all, or what do you...
The COVID denialism, what right-wing people have been doing to dismantle science over the past 4 years under the Biden administration.
I see.
And what these guys have been saying against trans people and all that. Yeah, it's not just when Trump was in office the first time, it's what they did during the Biden administration to delegitimize what they were doing and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
So I genuinely tried to figure out, since it's been about a month since the book came out,
has anybody read it?
I wanted to find out how many copies have been sold. And I haven't been able to get that answer yet. I'm so curious.
Is he doing the Eric Trump special and buying, a fucking 1,000 and putting them in his basement?
I don't know. I want to know.
Is there an asterisk next to that New York Times bestseller?
Right? I want to know. And I don't have that answer yet.
Well, it hasn't hit New York Times, I presume.
I have not seen it there. But
that's so weird because...
one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up is because over the past month...
You want to give me an aneurysm?
Well, I always want to do that. But in the past month since the book has come out, and those reviews have come out, and a video that I wrote for Drew McCoy, who on YouTube is Genetically Modified Skeptic, where he ripped into this.
Nice.
All of this has come out, and these guys are all doing defense now. I'm like, hey, our book is good, damn it.
Oh, yeah. I'm a good writer, boy.
They all have decided to agree on one basic excuse.
Hit me.
We didn't know Trump would do this shit. Okay.
Oh.
Here's what Krauss said.
Oh my fucking Christ.
Here's what Lawrence Krauss himself wrote in an article for Reason magazine.
That just activated my fight or flight. I'm sweating now.
He tried to both sides this whole thing.
Jesus Christ.
Here's Lawrence Krauss. This is after all this criticism has emerged.
Yeah.
Activists inside universities have hijacked many administrative functions, and significant reform is needed to ensure free speech, open inquiry, and the integrity of scholarship. But the Trump administration has used this fact to launch what may be a more dangerous direct attack on university scientific and research infrastructures across the nation. Let me paraphrase that for you.
Oh my God, this is fucking what's his face in a hot dog costume going, we're all trying to figure out who did this.
Yes. Here's what he's saying. Some activists push for more inclusion in the world of STEM, and that's really bad. But Trump decimating our nation's scientific infrastructure may be a more dangerous direct attack. Maybe. Possibly.
You think defunding all of the science that we're doing in this country that is defined by the science we are producing, you think that's a bad thing?
It's up for debate whether the real enemies here are the YouTube trolls who now control government funding or, the blue-haired liberal who annoys me on Twitter. That's Lawrence Krauss.
He's like, oh my God, I hate the measles, but I hate women more.
They keep telling me I'm a bad dude at Arizona.
And I hate it. I hate when they yell at me and I want them to stop. So I'm going to be meaner?
I found multiple tweets from Lawrence Krauss over the past several months where here's one tweet. I'm quoting from Lawrence Krauss. The book was written before Trump was elected, but we have added bits acknowledging what is going on. But there is a difference. One is an external threat, and we are focusing on threats from within.
You are the threat from within, Lawrence Krauss. You are the one who is refusing to let the world move forward because it hurts your ego.
Another tweet from July.
Another
tweet from July. It was written before Trump, but in fact, we added some addenda on this. Another tweet.
It objectively wasn't written before Trump. It was written the first time Trump was around, and then he came back because people like you think that a brown woman is scarier than a literal fascist.
Another tweet. My newest piece on the two-pronged war on science just appeared in Reason magazine. Yes, it is two-pronged. The new book, which was written...
isn't as many prongs as he thinks it is.
The new book, which was written before Trump was elected, deals with the first. But an external attack has occurred that may be more damaging.
So we're going to ignore the actual damage that's happening now and relitigate the last 10 years to prove that we are right all along.
You could say, listen, the book was written before Trump was elected, and we are now encouraging you, in light of what Trump has done,
to burn this book.
Don't buy it.
Don't buy
stupid.
it. It's bad.
It doesn't mean anything.
It's not relevant anymore. Right. By our own admission, it's out of date as soon as it's in
print. There's a philosopher, Martin Boudry. He contributed to the book. He wrote one or two of the essays in
A gentleman,
there.
You say?
Yes. He implied to me, he implied, I'm inferring from what he said, that there was no way of knowing how bad Trump would be. Here's what he wrote. In the time between the writing and publishing of our book, however, Donald Trump was reelected as president and started to launch a very different kind of war on science of his own, ... So, is it true, as the kids say, that our book didn't age well, becoming cringeworthy and out of touch before it hit the shelves?
That's what I just said.
How could we have been so oblivious to the looming right-wing assault on science while we were preoccupied with left-wing critiques?
Yes, all of these things are true.
He has an answer. He has an answer.
No. Yes.
Here, I'll read you. When there is rampant crime in a neighborhood and the community leaders look the other way, it creates the perfect opening for a sweeping police crackdown. In the same vein, the incursions of left-wing ideology in universities and other academic institutions have helped to turn them into prime targets for the populist right. If Jessica, if you turn universities and academic journals into partisan lobby groups, don't be shocked when you find yourself in the political crosshairs.
Stunningly idiotic.
It is true that Trump's assault on universities is both reprehensible and unconstitutional. That his professed concern about anti-Semitism is just a pretext for owning the libs, and that his sudden embrace of academic freedom is disingenuous. He just wants to swap one orthodoxy for another. But that is exactly why we should have cleaned our Augean stable before it came to this. Sorry for the mispronunciation. Basically saying we should have taken care of our shit on the left. Otherwise, the right never would have done this.
Dog, you are our shit on the left. You are you. You're the one you're talking to. Y'all fucked up.
It's very much left. What were you wearing? Right? Like, hey, left, if you hadn't annoyed the right so much, they would not be doing this right now. So really, left. This is your fault.
This is part and parcel for the last fucking 20 years of the Democratic Party run by men. We are willing to sacrifice the rights of women, of trans people, of queer people. We're willing to sacrifice all of those because we think that if we're like, we also think trans people are gross.
Which is the Gavin Newsom approach.
Yeah, yes. And we're going to be like, oh my God, we're all one big happy family.
Right. It never occurs to these people that dismantling the scientific establishment has been a goal of conservatives forever. They've been fantasizing about it forever. They just never had both the power to do it and a leader who never gave a shit about it until now. Like, wokeness is not the problem. Wokeness is the Republican scapegoat to do all the shit they wanted to do anyway.
I still think about it was probably December 2016 or thereabouts. I got in a huge fight with a couple members of my extended family about basically them telling me that I was being dramatic about abortion rights and that this would never happen and yada, yada, yada. And I genuinely haven't really spoken to that one family member since. And I'm saying right now, I know this sounds pathetic, but I will never forgive her.
Yeah.
I will never
I've heard a lot with criticism like, Jess, you're the problem here because you're not willing to have conversations and reach across the aisle.
Oh, yeah. Like the problem is that I'm like, men are doing terrible things and should be called out as such. And other dudes are like, but I'm a boy. Does that mean you're mad at me, Miss Jessica? Like, what the fuck are you guys doing? If you're mad that I'm mad at you, stop doing stupid shit.
When I wrote this article, Martin, this dude who just said all this, Martin Boudry, he was like on Twitter, you are taking me out of context. I'm paraphrasing this.
You fucking dum-dum.
Yeah. My favorite came from Jerry Coyne, who who everything on his website now is just promoting right-wing crazy stuff.
I'll say it before, and I'll say it again. I'm no longer regretful that I was extremely hungover when I interviewed Jerry Coyne 10 years ago.
There you go. So he made an argument, similar argument. This book came together before Trump did all this, but he went even further, and he said, look, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, Trump's assault on science...
Context, Hammond.
I'll tell you what he said, but he argues that Trump's assault on science is going to be reversed in due time. Like a Democrat will get elected, we'll just control Z on Donald Trump, but the woke attacks are going to stain the field for generations.
You're an idiot.
Here's what he actually said.
I
will actually quote him here. Listen. Right now, blah, blah, blah. But people are saying Trump is doing more damage.
Is this him talking to you?
No, this is him just writing.
Oh, okay.
People are saying Trump is doing more damage from the right. Yep. And right now, that is indeed the case. But
I'm still scared.
Here's what Coyne says. But Trump will be gone in a bit over 3 years. And I expect that when Democrats take over, fingers crossed, the government will cut back strongly on interfering in the funding and production. The effect of the right on science, then, will probably be more temporary.
I'm so angry.
In contrast, that from the left will last a lot longer. For progressive professors who believe in nonsense like a spectrum of sex and animals will teach this nonsense to their students, and thus it will pass along among academic generations. We simply cannot sit by and let progressives distort science and the cause of ideology, regardless of what the right is doing.
I cannot wait to hear what the left has done to distort. Because we're not funding eugenics? Is that the problem that we have?
There's not going to be any science left to distort when this administration ends.
In a mere 3.5 years, he's going to be gone. Are you fucking kidding me right now? First of all, we're in the beginning stages of a fascist takeover.
For someone who hates the left, he has way more faith in the Democratic Party than I do.
Truly. And also, when Democrats take over, fingers crossed, as if you don't have any, as if you have no...
He also implies that if we have a Democratic president, all of a sudden everything Trump did will get undone. No, you need control of Congress. And also, even if you have that, you think all the Democrats are going to go along with it? Okay, he doesn't know how politics works. But also, this idea that let's say you had all that.
Yeah.
Let's say you had 60 seats in the Senate and a House majority that actually enough people have sense and a Democratic president. None of that's going to happen. Let's say you had all that. The idea that a Democratic administration can just magically fix everything Trump is actively breaking is bullshit. If you interfere with long-term experiments, which is what they have done, just halting them, you can't just hit unpause and keep it going, even if you throw money at it. If you prevent people from studying mRNA vaccines, which is what RFK Jr. is doing, we won't have that technology available if and when we need it in the future. If we don't address climate science now, you don't get to just pick up where you left off in a few years. Why am I trying to mansplain science to Jerry Coyne, a PhD, who has been studying this and written genuinely good books about science for years? And then he criticized his critics because we didn't even read the damn book. Again, I've addressed it. What are you talking about? So when liberals say Trump is doing permanent damage to the country, that is not hyperbole.
Yeah, we're not being hyperbolic. We're not exaggerating for the sake of emphasis.
And do you know why professors acknowledge a gender spectrum in animals?
Because it's real.
Because it's real. It's science. What are you talking about? This book is just old man yells at cloud. Yes.
It's so embarrassing for them.
Peterson.
If Jerry Coyne, if you're listening, you should be fucking ashamed of yourself. This is the most specious bullshit I have ever heard. And if you don't think he's done how much damage in 6 months since he's been in office? Imagine.
It's only been 3 days.
Oh my God, time has stopped.
He just got inaugurated 3 days ago.
Christ. But how intellectually dishonest could you possibly be? 3.5 years, that's literally somebody's entire college career.
Yeah. And the thing is, a lot of graduate students who might go into scientific fields.
They're not gonna.
They're not gonna because they don't have funding for it. They can't study the thing they wanted to study. What do you think they're going to do? Put their life on pause for 3-4 years, hoping maybe a Democrat will win?
And
no, they're going to move to a different field or go to another country.
Yeah. It's called a brain drain.
Yeah.
We've seen them and caused them.
By the way, this idea that you didn't know what Trump was going to do.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Project 2025 came out in 2023.
We've been talking about Project 2025
That document
for
said
years.
about climate change, the Biden administration's climate fanaticism will need a whole of government unwinding.
I cannot
It said
believe
the
these
National
people.
Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which includes the National Weather Service, needs to be dismantled because it's fueling climate change panic. It called for limiting access to abortion drugs by lying about its safety and efficacy. It said the CDC should stop compiling data about gender identity because it legitimizes trans identities, ... I knew that. How come these professional science communicators are apparently oblivious? They did not know Trump was going to be bad for science until he got re-elected and then appointed crazy science. What do you think they've been saying this whole time? You could have written about the Republican Party's assault on science at any time in the past, 17 decades. And it still would have been exponentially worse than whatever these idiots think DEI is doing to their bubble now. To pretend we didn't know this would happen. That means you don't pay attention to the fields in which you are an expert, that you pretend to be an expert in. And we haven't even talked about Jordan Peterson. Here's what I think they should have said.
Boy, this is so the definition of like die a hero or live long enough to become a villain.
Here's what I think.
These guys just can't shut up and retire.
Here's Jordan Peterson. Here's what Lawrence Krauss should have written in the introduction.
Well, that's a fun slip of the tongue.
Yep. Here's what he should have written. The chapters in this book deal with dumb shit that annoys us, but it pales in comparison to what Trump is doing today. Even though we are supposed experts in communication, we chose to focus our time entirely on why liberals are ruining science while barely mentioning what conservatives are up to. Stop complaining about it. We promise we will include tiny bits of Trumpy criticism somewhere at the end of the book for anyone who wasted time reading it. Anyway, you twit, have I told you about my friend Jeffrey Epstein? And the reason I say that is because Lawrence Krauss literally said to me on Twitter, I guess you haven't read the other bunch of pieces I've written over the past year, or even the addenda I wrote in the book originally completed before Trump's election. If you looked at the book at all, you twit. Warning, though, there are big words. You might need ChatGPT.
Fucking Lawrence Krauss, are you a James Bond villain? What do you think you're doing?
To which I said, by the way, you're in no position to insult someone's intelligence when you're collaborating with Jordan Peterson.
What a small man he is.
Yes.
Isn't that embarrassing for him? This is what I keep seeing time and time again. And Jesus Christ, I remember first noticing this phenomenon when I saw the movie American Beauty, which is about Kevin Spacey, who has a lovely life that he picked for himself and made decisions along the way, and has a lovely family and a wife who loves him and kids who are kids. And is like, oh my God, my life is fucking terrible. I hate this. And golly, guys just took that idea and ran with it. You guys, you did it. You're famous, successful writers. You're academics. You're known people in your field. And what are you doing with this? What are you doing with this power? Dunking on trans people? Fucking congrats, guys.
I am begging
really nice work.
Any of you listening to this who have an in with the book industry, find me the internal database that says how many copies of a book have been sold and just leak the information to me, because I tried going through formal channels I happen to know. I'm like, give me that info. And they're like, are you going to publish this? I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to publish this. They're like, ethically, I cannot tell you how many things are sold.
Why
I'm like,
is that?
It's private information meant for like agents and bookseller or whatever. I'm like, I get why you can't tell me because you're a good person who follows the rules.
Yeah.
But also, some of you listening, I don't need your, just give me a screenshot.
We'll keep you anonymous, baby. Don't worry.
I would love to know if like 3 copies have been sold and that's it.
I mean, who's the market for this anymore? Like how many
right-wingers? By the way, Lawrence Krauss has been promoting.
Do you think a lot of right-wingers are reading science books?
No, I don't think they're reading any books. But Lawrence Krauss went on the Federalist podcast to promote his book, which is a right-wing website, because that's where they can get traction for this book. I will stop there for now.
Jesus Christ, what a fucking dick. How we doing a whole story about parents who killed their babies and Lawrence Krauss is still the villain of the show? This is terrible. These people are stupid.
So if you want to share
What
optimistic, happy times with us, you could join us Saturday at our party.
Oh, yeah.
And you could support the show by going to patreon.com/friendlyatheist podcast. And if you are a member of the podcast, we are trying really hard today to give you a special surprise.
Yes.
Which I told Jessica, let's not announce it until we know it works.
Yeah.
And now I'm violating my own rule.
No, it's fine. I'm really excited. So if you're on Patreon, you've got hopefully a cool treat coming.
Yes. We'll tell you more about it next week after we find out if it works. All right. We will see you next week. We have a bonus episode coming up right now.
We do.
We're going to talk about me hiking.
Oh, yeah.
You are going to talk about?
I saw a play last night. I don't really want to talk about it because I didn't love it. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.